This past Tuesday, I dropped the boys at school and I got back onto the road to head out to Long Island. The fog, I don't know if you remember this, but the fog that morning was so thick I couldn't see the tops of the bridges that I crossed. Earlier in the morning, it had been so thick I couldn't see the short distance across the river. When the fog is like that, so low and so present, it feels almost as if you could touch it. The world somehow seems different. All at once, the unknown seems closer, the vastness more mysterious, and the known smaller. I was driving out to Long Island because an old college friend who lives now in Israel was home for her grandfather's funeral. Both her parents are gone, but her grandpa, Seymour Bosworth, had lived to be 100. He had died just days before the burial. In Judaism, it's customary to bury the body as soon as possible. My friend had hopped a plane to come back from Jerusalem, and her brother, another dear friend, had flown from DC. I hadn't been present at other important moments of grief in their life, and this was a moment I could be. And so I drove through the dense fog with my favorite album of autumnal folk songs playing, in weather unseasonably warm for mid-October, out to an over 250-acre cemetery. Her grandfather, Seymour, known as Cy, had fought in World War II. A young Jewish man whose brother had died in service, he would not be deterred from heading overseas. He was there at Normandy on D-Day +1. He was among those who liberated the death camps. The memories of that time affected him his whole life. How could they not? The service was a graveside funeral, but it began on the road with a military honor guard. A lone bugler played taps while two young men stood in salute beside Cy's coffin. They then folded the flag and presented it to Cy's one living daughter. The fog had lifted at this point, and the sky was so very blue. And the sound of that bugle rang out into the silence, not unlike the bowl that we sound every Sunday morning. A sign of ritual beginning, a sound to initiate special time, a call to be present. When the soldiers had finished, the plain wooden coffin was brought to the grave and lowered inside, and we all gathered round. The rabbi spoke prayers and explained the rituals and traditions as less than 20 of us stood there close together under a beautiful tree, the leaves of which were just beginning to change. Beside the grave was the dirt that had been dug up to make space in the earth. As the rabbi spoke, I learned things that I never knew about Cy, and it was a genuine pleasure to learn them. And then the family spoke, his daughter and his son-in-law, and then his 4 grandchildren. And as they did, they each told Cy's truth as they understood it, in their own way and from their own perspective. And meanwhile, a hawk, I kid you not, a hawk sailed overhead, back and forth, swooping and gliding stark against the blue sky, its colors matching the leaves on the tree beside us. One of the last rituals in a Jewish burial is the participation by those who will in burying the body. With the shovel, in some customs, one first lifts the dirt with the back of the shovel and throws it onto the coffin, the use of the back signifying our reluctance. And then one turns it around and shovels properly. In this case, the rabbi asked us to do at least 3 shovels apiece. This to indicate the dawning acceptance. The participation in burial is a mitzvah, a blessing, and it's understood as a final act of honor, respect, and caretaking for this person that you have loved so dearly. Each of us took our turn. I will tell you, it had been a while since I had been at a funeral that I was not officiating, since I had had the opportunity to learn in the moment about someone I hadn't known, to be surprised by the stories and amazed by the heroism and delighted by the devotion to family. It had been a while since I had been a mourner, however tangentially, and had the opportunity to be ministered to in this way. On the drive along the highways and the bridges and through the fog, I had imagined the moment of hugging my friend for the first time in some time. And I started crying while I was driving, thinking about that moment. And when we did hug at the cemetery, there weren't tears, which was fine, but there was that feeling of rightness when you're with a beloved friend, and that desperate desire to hold on tight and not let go. I miss my people, the ones who live so far away from me, the family of my heart, if not by blood, the ones who I would want at my side in my greatest celebrations and in my hardest grieving. Nothing compares to the presence in our lives of people who know us, love us, stick by us, show up for us, and hold us. Because even when we live to 100, these lives of ours are short when we think in cosmic terms. When we think of the long line of ancestors that stretches way back beyond our individual lives, these lives are short. And we can pack so much into them, certainly. We can pack care and kindness and frustration and mistakes and sacrifices and heroism and redemption and so many changes and so much love. Opportunities lost and found, friendships lost and found. On any given day, our lives can feel long, but they are indeed brief. They can be harsh, they can be full of longing and absence and grief, and all I could think in that moment, all I could think to do was hold on. Hold on to my friend, hugging her as much as possible in the few short hours we had. Hold on to the beauty of the blue sky and the soaring hawk and that tree that seemed to shout, everything changes, everything dies, time cycles on. Hold on to the truths that I know about justice and freedom and what it means to risk for what is right. Hold on to all the ancestors who set examples for what our lives can be. Hold on to my family when I got home. Hold on to the stories and the memories that we can tell over and over. Hold on to the love whence grief wells. Hold on to the love that I know holds me. Hold on to the moments that we have with one another. Grieving is hard, no matter how it is done or why. Whatever the loss, be it death or some other kind of loss, ambiguous or complex, even whether or not the world would recognize what we experience as a loss, whatever the loss, heartbreak and grieving are hard. They take time. Time, support, friendship, love, and we would be wrong to think that we could ever be the same again. We are changed for having known someone, and we are changed for knowing their absence. We are changed for having known loss. That is part of what it means to be human. And while our pain is surely a sign of our love, so too is our healing, our allowing of that pain to ease, for their memory to be a blessing, for them to take their place among the ancestors. These too are signs of love and of our understanding of our place in time. It is love that still exists, always exists, beyond even death. In each day we share, whether together or apart, in each memory, in each hope for the future, in every single way that we hold on, it is love that persists. That's something I know to be true. Love persists, and we can hold on to and spread that love, and we can share those memories.